And after 2000, there was another revolt by the Palestinians, what's called the Second Intifada. It was successfully crushed. And now we're at the point which actually might be a very regrettable, unfortunate turning point in the conflict. And that's how I'm going to end, to briefly tell you what's going on right now. The United States is nobody's fool. Secretary of State Kerry, Obama, they are quite smart and quite shrewd when it comes to politics. And they now see there is a big opportunity to finally impose a historic defeat on the Palestinians. So, number one, Hamas, which was the main opposition force among the Palestinians, the main resistance force among the Palestinians, it had made as its major ally the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. When the Muslim Brotherhood was overthrown in a coup, when the Muslim Brotherhood was overthrown in a military coup, Hamas lost its major ally in the Arab world. Now, Egypt, under Mr. Sisi, Israel, and the Palestinian Authority all are working together to crush the people of to crush the people of Gaza, so the people of Gaza will reject Hamas and accept the Palestinian Authority as their leadership. And so, through the collusion, the collaboration of Egypt, Israel, and the Palestinian Authority, the people of Gaza are being literally starved to death right now. Number two, Saudi Arabia has its political agenda, which has nothing to do with the Palestinians. Iran now has its political agenda, which has nothing to do with the Palestinians. Turkey has its political agenda, which has nothing to do with the Palestinians. And so the Palestinians have no support at all in the Arab Muslim world. They are completely isolated and alone. The Palestinian people, after so many defeats, after so many hopes destroyed, have basically given up on resisting. The attitude now among Palestinians is every man for himself. There is no longer any collective resistance to the Israeli occupation. The Palestinian Authority is totally corrupt and totally dependent financially on the Americans and the Europeans. Even if he wanted to, which he doesn't, but even if he wanted to, the current head of the Palestinian Authority, Mr. Abbas, simply cannot, because he has no power, to resist the will of the United States and Israel at this point. The growth rate of the Palestinian economy in the West Bank was minus 0.5% this past year. In Gaza, there's massive unemployment and genuine, real hunger. The Palestinians are in an impossible situation, and there is a realistic possibility that a major historic defeat will now be imposed. The terms are pretty clear, and that's where I'll leave it. Israel has been building a wall in the West Bank, which takes in about 10% of the West Bank, including some of the best land, including the critical water resources, and including most of Arab Jerusalem, East Jerusalem. And Israel wants to keep that 10% of the West Bank. In addition, it wants the international community to assume responsibility for the refugee question and for it not to have to accept any responsibility for what happened to the Palestinians in 1948 with the mass expulsion. Those are the basic terms, and I would say there's probably a 50-50 chance, maybe 60-40, that the U.S. and Israel will succeed. The Europeans at this point have issued a statement saying to both Israel and the Palestinians, they said, you better get serious about negotiating because we are tired of paying for all of those projects in the West Bank. So, unless you negotiate, then we're going to take back all our money and we're not going to support any of the projects in the West Bank either. And so the pressure is very heavily on Israel, but also on, very heavily on the Palestinians, but also Israel, that when President Obama and John Kerry say jump, you better jump. The master is giving the orders. And I think, regrettably, there may be a very unfortunate result from these current so-called negotiations, for which, of course, if they succeed and the Palestinians are defeated, all of the main parties will get Nobel Prizes for peace. Thank you.